I thought I was done with motorcycles, not because of a crash, not because of some big life event. I just got over it. At least that's what I told myself. Back then, riding felt simple. I wasn't obsessing over horsepower number, resale value, or watched 50 YouTube reviews before touching a bike. If it looked good, sounded good, and it made me want to ride it, that was enough. And honestly, I kind of missed that version of riding. Because when you were younger, you don't analyze motorcycles, you just feel them. So I rode everything I could get my hands on: sport bikes, nakeds, cruisers, mostly old Japanese inline fours. And to this day, I still think those old bikes sound better than most modern bikes. Not necessarily faster, not necessarily better, just more alive. For a while, motorcycle were everything. Every weekend was about next ride, the next road, the next machine. And then one day, the feeling was just gone. The exhaust note that used to give me chills, just noise. The roads I used to disappear on, just another way to get from point A to point B. No matter what I rode, eventually you all start feeling the same. So I stopped. Sold the bike, walked away from the whole thing. And I genuinely believe that chapter of my life was over. Just something you experienced when you were young. Something you look back on years later and think, yeah, that was a good time. But then something strange started happening. I'd be sitting in my car, air conditioning on, completely comfortable, and a motorcycle would pull up next to me at a light. And without even thinking, I leaned forward. Oh, a Hornet, an OCB 750, each one. I quietly said to myself, machines I used to ride, a person I used to be. That's when I started to realize something: being tired of something and truly no longer want it anymore are not the same thing. I wasn't done with motorcycles. I was just away from them for too long. But by then, coming back wasn't simple anymore. The bikes were expensive. The licensing was expensive too. Everything around riding had become more complicated than I remembered. And the longer I waited, the easier it becomes to talk myself out of it. I had a very logical reason to keep waiting. Then one afternoon, a friend and I were having coffee, and he said something that completely changed the way I look at it. He said, a lot of people have dreams they will never get to live, not because they can't afford them, but because their dream doesn't even have a way in. But yours? Yours already have a number on it. So what exactly are you waiting for? I didn't have a good answer. That motorcycle has been with me for 10 years now. I'm not trying to prove anything on it. I'm not chasing the person I was at 20. But every time I rode it out of the garage, I'm glad I stopped it waiting. Because that perfect moment you'll keep waiting for, it never does.